welcome to the program. As usual, the program is Family Matters. The hashtag we use is Family Matters. The Twitter handle at Kioria, at Pastor Danson. On Facebook, John Jacob Kioria, Pastor Danson, I'm sure.
Yes.
And obviously, again, on our SMS line, 22162, you can ask your question and Pastor Danson will respond to them. There's a lot of demand that we have him here. And definitely, he's going to respond to some of your queries and the answers you will be asking. But let me just introduce him, Pastor Danson. It's nice to see you again after 2 months.
Yeah, it's been long.
It's been long, yeah. But finally, you have the moment to interact with your fans here as well as respond to their questions. So the conversation tonight, as we said, is about love and lust.
And lust, yes.
So, trying to define both, because there's always that thin line or confusion when it comes to, defining love and, going to the aspect of lust. What is the difference?
Actually, they are worlds apart.
They are?
Yeah, they are worlds apart.
Okay.
Because what lust is a desire to have someone. Love is usually driven by a lot of care. Yeah. So when there is lust, you will be able to tell. People even are very shallow in the way they communicate. They talk about your assets or liabilities thereof. But where matters to do with care is concerned, somebody is much more concerned about walking the journey of life together with you. And so when we start to discuss it, it's important for us first to divide it far apart. But that thing also, the two of them are necessary psychologically where matters to do with marriage is concerned. Because when, especially when
at times lust can be good.
When it's lust in terms of sexual desire, not the other one. When man and woman was created, the word man and the word woman in the Hebrew language, if you take away one letter from each, what you remain with is the word fire. Meaning that when God created man and when God created a woman, he created us to become flames of fire. So all of us have, no matter what title you bear, you have a flame of sexual desire. That's why the Bible says that it is good for a person to marry lest they burn. That's what Paul says. Because all of us we have that flame for sexual desire. It's given by God so that it can be able to propagate natural life. So, and if it's not there, then you need to some prayer. So there are particular things which you can't pray that God takes away. You can only pray to have the grace to control, because God will not take it away from you, no matter how saintly you want to become. But also, where human beings and animals are concerned, it's very, very different. For example, when we deal with matters to do with mating in the animal kingdom, you do not see any attachment between a bull and a heifer. After mating, because for them they live differently, but for the human being, it's important for desire specifically to be tampered around with wisdom and probably legislation. That is why matters to do with sexuality are highly legislated in any community, because it is not one of those fires that should be played around with. Then also, it is important for you to realize where matters to do with desire, especially nowadays, there is a challenge where self-image is concerned. So the self-image of men, most often than not, is tied to where money is. If you find a man who their desire is going down, most often than not, is because also their pocket is dipping. So, because men attach a lot of value, or where
that's why we have a lot of sponsors in this town.
When a man, when foolish men have money, they multiply women. But financial stability doesn't translate to virility. Yes, but that's a story for another day. But when you find most of the time when the man's desire is going down, it's because, most often than not, it's because there's a challenge where finances are concerned. Because when a woman is broke, a woman is broke. When a man is broke, a man is broken. It's not the same. That's why we can tell. At the end of the month, you will see the way boys walk, You can tell there is some money somewhere. Then mid-month, you see even the way they dress, you can just tell something is off.
And the kind of food they're eating.
And the kind of thing they So most of the men, their value is attached to their economic might, their economic muscles. For women on the other side, women are in competition with something that they also do not know. I did a very interesting research some time back. I discovered in Cuba, because of the government structure of the that has been there for a long period of time, they have not had a lot of commercialization. There's not been a lot of adverts. So incidentally, Cuban women, most of them have very good self-image because they don't have this cosmopolitan image of what defines what a beauty is. 32, 28,
actually,
32.
you go to the streets, they're almost walking naked.
They are almost,
in April.
you are there in April,
Yes,
so you know what you're...
Yeah, they're almost walking naked.
Yeah, they are very, very confident
Yeah.
because they don't have an issue in terms of their image. So sometimes you find very attractive women,
Yeah.
but because they don't look like a particular person that they have seen on television or something like that, it might end up having an effect on their self-image.
Yeah.
And where there's a problem with self-image, there will be a problem with self-giving. Yeah. Once the self-image of a person has been tampered with or has been damaged by one issue or another, it will be very, very difficult for somebody to share themselves completely where matters to do with intimacy is concerned, yes. And that is why nowadays we say, when you get into a relationship, it is important for you to use your intimacy to heal first, not to build someone. Because most of the people who come into a relationship come in damaged. And that's why most of the time within the first year or the second year, people don't, their relationships start going down because what we have are people who are really, really damaged. So the relationships translate into a lot of war. You have a history, I have a history, my wife has a history, and we have to come to a place where all of us should bring our histories down. You know, you become honest enough to say, you know, this and this has happened to me, you know, even if it was recent or probably way back, but it is important for you to use the comfort of intimacy, for you to be able to go into the closets, the dark closets, and be able to heal people from their pain. So most of the marriages don't survive because when pain has not been cured, it is transferred. So you find most of the marriages, people are fighting a lot because they are transferring their pain to the person that they love the most. And incidentally, once you love someone, you feel like you have that right to express your rawest emotions to that particular person. So it is important when people get married to start finding out what is it that went on in the life of this particular person, so that you use your relationship to heal each other first. It's amazing in the Bible, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And you know where I stand in terms of polygamy. Actually, I did more research after the other session. I did some very interesting research on it. You will discover between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the only person who had one wife was Isaac. And the Bible tells us why. In Genesis 24, the last verse, it tells us why. It says that when Isaac went into the tent with Rebekah, his wife, he was healed of the pain that he had from his mother's death. So Rebekah used her intimacy to heal the deepest pain of Isaac, which was the loss of his mother. So it is important, once people get married, you have to make sure that your love is therapeutic. If it is not therapeutic, then it becomes toxic.
There's no other option.
There is no other option.
There's no in between. Therapeutic or toxic.
Or toxic, yes. And you have to be mature enough to know that you're also bringing baggage. You know, nowadays I hear things about standards and things like that. You need to be careful what it is that you're considering standards, because some of the standards that people give, they're looking for Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect does not exist.
Who says so?
And the only person who is Mr. Perfect who existed was Jesus Christ, and he was crucified for not being.
But he whipped people in church.
By people who thought that he was not perfect. What we need to do, you need to look for somebody who is mature, not somebody who is perfect. Somebody who is mature knows that we all have histories. And the more marriageable a person is, it means that they have survived something. They have gone through a lot for them to get to a place where they are mature enough to accommodate somebody else into their lives. Because it's very, very difficult for you to accommodate someone. Like for me, you know, I married when I was slightly older, and one of the major challenges that I had was to let go of my privacy, because I have been lived alone for a long period of time. And even right now, sometimes I have to consider, you know, I think I'm enjoying my company too much. So, but you have to be mature now to know, this is not me time, this is we time. You know, and accommodate that particular person, because maybe your silent treatment is triggering nightmares on the other person. So when they see you go quiet, they start feeling as though you're taking them to a history that they don't want to be part and parcel of. That is why I advocate that people must look for somebody who's mature enough to accommodate your weaknesses. But then if you're looking for somebody who has no weaknesses, that person does not exist.
You're talking about dealing with histories.
Yes.
I'm just imagining you getting married to a person and there's a part of, a critical part of your history that you don't know. And then finally when this history is broken down to you, you realize it's quite a scary, kind of history.
Yeah.
How do you settle with that? Is there even a possibility of rekindling love when you feel this part of our history is actually a betrayal on your end?
Now, when we're dealing about matters to do with dating and how much you should disclose and how much you shouldn't disclose, it is important for you not to give too much details when a relationship is beginning. There is levels of intimacy that are earned. If you just show up and tell people about things that you have done, you will be alone for a very long period of time. But it is important for you to give them, during conversations, let them know. Yeah, just tell them in advance. Tell them, me, I have not had a very good history. There are particular things that have not been right. So you better be sure you really want me, because I might look like this when I show up probably in church or at work or something like that, but deep down I have a lot of history. Now, the main problem that I've discovered in relationships, it is not so much about the disclosure of the history. People can live with the truth. Yeah, what people fear the most is when I am living with somebody who I do not know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there ought to be in a place where you decide, and it's important for you to ask questions. I think I've said here before, most of the time, people ask more questions buying a pair of a shoe than getting into a relationship. And that is where the drama comes in.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I know a young lady who was married to a married man, and she didn't know. The only reason as to why
she didn't see?
She didn't see. There was no proof. But then nowadays, if you're married, you better have your ring on. I don't trust married people. But you know what happened?
Okay.
The mother of the man came to visit. So and the mother asked, who is this? He said, Mfanyikazi. And he's a woman who had been married for 2 years. Because at the village, that is where the real wife was.
Hey,
but this so
it's
but
and
unfortunately it's not it's a very common story, where you end up discovering by the way you're in trouble. That is why it is important for you to ask. Don't date people that you don't know their family. Don't date people that you don't know their friends. At least if you know who their friends are, somebody somewhere will tell you the truth. I wanted to say about family, then I discovered people nowadays hire relatives. The society we are living in is dangerous. Yes. Yeah. I heard a story where relatives were hired, wazers were paid and things like that. And a show happened, but that was on a different village. But anyway, that's a story for another day.
Yes.
But it's important for a person to ask as many questions as possible. Know where the person comes from, so that when you get married to them, you don't end up having a lot of shockers. We also have people who can't perform, and they haven't disclosed that kind of information. So especially within church.
Perform what? Perform what in the exams?
They can't function in the junction. Let me use Reverend Kathy's words. Yeah, and sometimes, and I of course.
But Pastor, let me ask you, because this is the biggest paradox amongst young people who are dating, and particularly people who are religious, be it Muslim or Christian, in the sense that they're dating, they're young, and then there's that story of performance or non-performance.
Yes.
How does that story go by?
Oh, I know. Are you asking how do you figure out before getting in?
Yeah.
One of the clues is, even if you're dating someone and the two of you are abstaining, if there is no sexual tension and a sexual struggle, that it's clear this person wants you. Because it will be there. If you're dating someone for a long period of time and they behave like hood, that is a sign either he plays the other side or she plays the other side, or something is wrong. Because matters to do with sexual desire, it is impossible for you to hide. Over and over again in the book of Song of Songs, it says, do not awaken love until it pleases. That lady was deeply struggling with keeping herself away from Solomon. And you can be able to tell. They're just mannerisms that people have that can tell you, by the way, this man is really struggling. And that's actually a compliment. Or that woman is really struggling. It gets to a place where now you decide, if the two of us are left somewhere, grass will not grow. So what you are going to do, let us be meeting in a place which is public enough for us to behave and private enough for us to talk. But if there is not that, Nini, it's also a sign that the relationship is not healthy. One of the ways you know that a relationship is healthy, yes,
Mm.
there should be that tension. It should be there. Never get into a relationship with somebody who's not attracted to you sexually. Yeah, because after a while, it is a sign that there will be a lot of problems. Because what we have now is somebody says, you know, I want to wait until I get married. That's a very good thing. But then, if the person behaves as though they don't need it, that's a clue that something is not right somewhere. And we have had situations where people have been married, then they discover that actually the other person is on the other lead. Yeah. And if they were just sensitive enough, you know, to investigate, they would have been able to discover, I think something is not right here. Yeah. And if you date someone for that particular period of time, there should just be something. And if this particular man doesn't notice.
But is this, you know, tendency to look so, you know, to employ religiosity all over yourself and looking so good and holy, to the extent that I wouldn't suspect actually, because we have been taught to be stooges, you know, in churches because we are holy, called to serve the Lord.
The word man and the word woman, there are particular letters. If I had time here, if you remove those letters, it remains the word eth, and it means fire in Hebrew, meaning that. Let me give you a story.
Yeah.
This pastor was dealing with a very interesting counseling session where a pastor left his wife and went and got married to another man.
The pastor you're talking is a woman?
The pastor is a man. Left his wife? Yes, and went and got married to another man. So now, if you notice, you know, because there are particular things, that are normal, you know. If you are a man, you will notice women. If it is a woman, the woman will notice men. Noticing doesn't mean that something else will transpire from that, but you can be able to tell this man is normal. So if those clues are not there, you're playing with fire. Okay, let's move on to the other point. The other point is this.
Yes.
It's important for you to when it comes to matters that to do with intimacy, it is important for you to know the importance between distance and closeness. Because if you're too close for a long period of time, the two of you will get bored with one another.
Familiarity.
Yeah, it becomes familiarity, and familiarity, as they say, breeds contempt. So it is important for you, and that's why when you get into a relationship with someone, it is important for you to allow the other person to continue being who they are. My wife loves beauty and beauty stuff. The more she does what she likes, the more the excitement remains. But if I tell her to come and sit down and behave like a pastor's wife, sooner than later, she will lose her individuality. And incidentally, it is her individuality that made me attracted to her. So I have to learn to create that particular distance. I should allow her to do the things that she wants to do. So that when that distance is created, I'm able to miss her, you know. But when you're always following one another,
men are not so good with that.
Men are not so good with that, but that is also the reason as why they are dying early. The family responsibility. God gave you a helper. That means that the person has the capacity to do what you're doing, and God is bringing teamwork. One can chase 1,000, two can chase 10,000. That is what the scriptures say. So when God gives you a partner in life, it is important for you to unlock the full potentials of that particular partner and allow that particular partner to help you. Let her pursue her own destiny. If it gets to a place where you are so insecure and intimidated by a woman's prosperity, then either there's something wrong with how you're brought up, or you have had an experience with an ex who liked you and
which
you
didn't bring here.
which now you shouldn't carry forward. But it is important for you to empower your wife. Ask yourself this question: in case anything happens today, where do I leave my children? Yeah, and that's why any lazy woman should never be an attractive being to any man. Yeah, you're not going to marry a seat cushion, I'm telling you. In case something happens, who will take over? Who will provide for your own children? So you can't allow your ego to get to a place where they, you block your wife from being a buffer zone. What happens in case you get retrenched or something like that? Yeah. Now you will, you need your wife to be able to stand up and, support the family as you're trying to get your business together. And for her to do that, you need to allow her to continue doing the things that she wants to do. And let me tell you, people will cheat if they want to cheat. Keeping them in the house will not stop them. Yeah. Have you not heard about Shamba boys who have been doing more than Shamba work? So So it's impossible. You cannot, it's impossible for you to control another human. It's impossible for you to control another human being. It is just empower her. And that's why I say a love that does not build an individual is a waste of time. Get somebody who believes in your potentials. You know, find out.
If you ever find a situation where you have to draw back, then that's not the ideal thing for you.
Yeah, that is not the ideal thing for you. Yeah, just get to a place in your life where you can empower a woman. Ask questions. Like for me, one of the reasons as to why I really wanted to get married to my wife is when I asked about her history, then I discovered that there is no work that she had not done. Yeah, my wife is the kind of a person, she won't sleep hungry.
Eh?
Yeah, that will not happen. She will put in work. Yeah. And once you find a woman like that, first, it's a compliment to you as a man, because now you've found a worker.
Yeah.
If you're able to sell to her a vision, that vision will progress. Then also, there is a safety that you have when you know that my woman knows how to handle her business. It just gives you a lot of peace. Yeah. So don't tell a woman just to sit in the house and things like that. Ease of it, by the way, those things are outdated.
22162 is our SMS line. You can continue asking your questions, even though my iPad appears like it wants to misbehave. And also on Twitter at KBC channel 1, at Kioria, at Pastor Danson. The hashtag is Family Matters. 22162 is our SMS line. Twitter at KBC channel 1, at Kioria. The hashtag is Family Matters. On Facebook, John Jacob Kioria. Now, from the picture you're painting,
yes,
is it to mean then that in love or in a love situation, it's only being about comfortable with each other?
It is important now, and that's where now we divide the difference between lust and love.
Yes.
When people get into a relationship and the two of them are in it because of lust, you will notice, you know, because they are very superficial. People who are in it because of lust, they are very superficial. These are the kind of people, if you take them out on a coffee date, there is nothing much for the two of you to talk about. After a while, you know, you're just seated there, and then the one thing that is very common is otherwise. Then after 2 minutes, otherwise.
That is a prompting statement.
Yeah, it is a greeting in some part in our country. Because they are very shallow, they are very superficial, you know, they don't have quality conversation. Where it comes to matters to do with love, love is much more detailed. People have a capacity to disclose. The two of you start building. You feel comfortable enough to disclose.
Sometimes people are careful so that in your conversations you don't get a little bit intrusive, or you don't get to be appearing like you know, getting into somebody's privacy. Yeah.
Now, of course, when we talk about the way intimacy unfolds, there are just particular things. If somebody comes out too early, it can be a turnoff. Yeah. Yeah. Because now you cease to be a lover, you become needy. You sound like you are. It's important. And even incidentally, that's one of the ways to differentiate between a player and a keeper. Yeah. The difference between a keeper and a player is that a player discloses very, very fast. But then if you find a man who discloses facts quickly, yeah, that particular man, he's a player.
He's a man in need.
Yes, he's a man in need. So it is important, yeah, because the Bible, when it talks about and the heart of the husband, though safely trusting on her, it talks about trust in terms of a long period of time. There are particular things after a while, just based on the two of you continuing to grow in love, there are particular things that you feel more comfortable to disclose. So you are able to disclose a few things about yourself. Then love goes to a place where you think.
So is lust just about sexual explicitity?
Yes, lust most of the time has more interest on the body, not on the heart. Yeah. It spends more quality time on top of someone, not with someone.
Where do you draw the line between appreciating God's work? Where do you draw the line between appreciating God's work and running into the traps of lust?
You can tell. You can tell. But if you are honest, if you're very, very honest, you can tell. Because where lust is concerned, it arouses you. Where love is concerned, it inspires you.
Don't you think you are confusing? Take the second back.
Because every time when you are around someone and the only thing you want to do is just to drop the clothes, it's a sign that the two of you are in it physically. Now the problem with you being engaged physically, there is no one who has ever won the Olympic gold medal in terms of that particular sport. So what will happen is that after a while somebody will use you, then they get to a place where they want to go somewhere else and go and figure out whether the 42 counties have something better to offer. So it is important for you to... So love, it just makes you aroused. The two of you, when you talk and you want to meet, you know very well. We are not meeting to discuss about the future.
Yes.
Yeah, we are meeting to lower the flag.
I'm struggling to stay sane in this show.
Yeah, so if you're honest, and you can't tell, because there are particular people who are dangerous. They're just people who you know yourself. If the two of you are left in the same room, something will happen. You know.
And those are the people you should be careful.
Yeah, those are the people you should be careful, because what happens is, if you introduce love too early into the relationship, sex too early into the relationship, it takes away that ability for you to build intimacy between the two of you, because the two of you ought to talk. That's why I say, even for the young chaps, don't be so much in a hurry to take a woman out for movies. Movies could be good, but take her to a restaurant, sit down and talk, ask questions. Figure out things about her. You'll be able to know a lot more.
I've seen some of them on some TV shows saying they don't eat chips.
They don't eat chips.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't.
A person who talks a lot
and they don't
about...
take cheap drinks. Yeah. What should you do with something like that?
Ecclesiastes 7:12.
Pay the bill.
Ecclesiastes 7:12.
Yeah.
Wisdom is a defense, money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom gives life to the one who has it. There are two standards in life. One is the standard of money, the other one is the standard of wisdom. If you find somebody who talks too much about lifestyle, that person is empty. Yeah. Because people who really, you know, you've met people who are super rich. Yeah. They don't say a lot.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
and
even
most of them crave a lower the of living. If you end up getting into a relationship with somebody who's talking about, oh, I don't eat in this particular place, you have to have a car and all those things, then what are you bringing? Because whatever it is that you think you're bringing, all the daughters of men have it. So you can't tell me that you're bringing, if the only thing you're bringing to the bedroom, you can't bring anything to the table. The two of us should not be talking, because rich people are not fools. Yeah. If you present your body, that is how they will treat you. You could be wiser than that, you could be extremely educated, but they will just choose to buy what you're selling. Yeah. Yeah. So those particular people, if you find somebody who talks like that, that is not a wife material. And people who are that crazy, they are good for dating and terrible for marriage. Yeah, so you can tell the standard between wisdom and money. Money gives a lifestyle, wisdom gives a life. That is what the Bible says. So you can tell if somebody talks a lot about things that you have, things like that, there's not a person who's coming into a relationship to build together with you. There's a person who's coming into the relationship as a parasite. And unfortunately, at the back of their mind, they think just by doling up, that's sufficient enough for you to pay. You know? Yeah. And anyway, so the one for the one for wisdom is somebody inquires about your heart. They want to figure out what is your personality, what are your dreams, what are your ambitions. Because once you get married, the only thing that remains after honeymoon, the only thing that remains after honeymoon is faith and ambition. What is the vision that the two of you have? That is what remains after honeymoon. So it is important for you to find somebody who, when they talk, they want to find out who are you, what do they like. I tell women that men's words are prophetic, by the way, by nature. You can be able to tell. You can be able to tell many things about a man by what he talks a lot about. If he talks about your body more than he talks about your heart, it is your body that he wants. It is not you that he wants. When a man says he loves you, you better ask what he loves about you. Because it could be your legs that he is in love with. But now, because he doesn't want to look as though he is a pervert, he will say, I love you. And
but you know, the intentions of the heart are only known to God. Only known to God.
But they
People will tell you even why they love you. They will even go deep and tell you about personalities you didn't even know exist, about a personality you didn't even know that you have, but they still know what they want and their goals and how they're going to achieve them down the line.
Now it depends with the age. I said there's a particular age where if you're 23 below,
you can be flattered by anything.
But after that, you need to be serious. When somebody comes in and they want to behave as though they want to, let them appear with a marriage proposal. Anyone who wants to date you for 7 years, you are not a university. There is no degree they will get on their wedding day. It is important for somebody. It is important for them to show up early with their intent and tell you, I want to get married to you. That's what I did with my wife. I told her, if you say yes, you're going to your parents. And that is exactly what happened. She said yes straight to her parents. Yeah. Because men are mature enough to know. You know, you look at this woman, she looks like wife material, this other one looks like bedroom material. It is, you can tell. So if a man shows up and he still wants to take you out for coffee, he wants to know you more and more, some of those things, you know, what else does he want to know? Does he want to know how long your intestines are? What is it? Because yeah, you know, and that particular age, they should know there's just particular character attributes that wives have and husbands have. And if someone is mature enough, they'll be able to notice them in a very short period of time. Isn't it fair that you're able to know a person, particularly if they're reserved people, that you extend the time for dating so that you're able to know them? You know, the personalities which are quiet, like my dad was very, very quiet man. But you can be able to tell, you know, words are the printouts of the heart. Yeah. No matter how much a person hides who they are, you can be able to read who they are through their words. When the Bible says, if the tree is bad, then the fruit is bad, just because it's talking about their words. This is out of the abundance of the man's heart, he speaks. So you can be able to tell a lot in terms of the hearts of a person because of how they are talking. So you just ask questions, you know. And no one is, unless they are depressed and quiet, no one is like that, you know. After a while, they will disclose things to you about themselves. Like I remember Tyson used to say to his wife, I'm a dog and I will beat you. And the wife thought it was a joke. And the man turned out, because people don't hide who they are. Sooner than later, they will tell you who they are. All right. Yeah. Last in marriage, because you said it is important in marriage. It is important for the two of you to have a vibrant sexual relationship. And most of the time it starts to dwindle, especially when the child comes in and things like that, and the woman is divided between the baby and you and things like that. But it is it is of great importance for you to consciously decide to develop sexual rapport between you and your because initially during honeymoon is just fire on fire. After a while, the two of you need to have a very candid discussion about things also to do with your history and what it is that you like, your preferences and things like that. And also for you to understand that there are different personality types have different sexual desires and needs and things like that. But it is important for there to be sex in marriage. Maybe we'll talk about it one day. We should do a show about sex drive, so we can get into all the details. But today I want to focus on the people who have been married and their sexuality is going down. You wonder then what do they do? What do they do? You know, the two of you are roommates. There are others who they sleep on the same bed, and for years and years and years they don't touch each other. And what happens? Because a child cannot be entirely blamed for, you know, the death of sexual desire. So what exactly happens? Resentment. Most often than not, it's resentment. Yes. You know, if there has been a problem that people have not sat down and talked about, after a while it starts to create an incrustation around passion. So before long you discover that people who are in love with one another are too hardened against each other. So it is important for you to learn to talk about things. Then also, be careful how you treat your spouse. Men love being respected and they love being shown that they are sexually desired. It's just one of those things about men. If you don't show like you desire your husband, sooner than later you just go back to a place where he thinks, you know, I'm always initiating this thing. I'm tired. This thing is as boring as hospital food. Then he will just decide to keep quiet. And also now for women don't like that habit of you penduka pandehi. You have to prepare. Watershed period. But I hope I'm within Ezekiel Mutua's places. I think you will come guns blazing, but that's for God. Now, it's important for you to build up a woman, you know, talk to her during the day. Let her know that she's desired, because sometimes women can multitask very many things, but the one thing that they can't multitask is the issue to do with sex. So she needs to be prepared. If she comes back home too tired and then she thinks during the day you ignored her and things like that, before long she will give you her body, but she will not be there, and you will be able to tell, because sex is a physical act that engages the emotions, and also it's very, very spiritual. So you can tell when there's a disconnect between the act and the relationship. So you can just tell here, I'm just, I'm just, so that there is no war, I'm just being given, and that is not what you want in a relationship. So it is important for the two of you to learn to resolve issues. Then also learn about the other person. What is it that men want? What is it that women want? Because what we have is that men are reading men's magazine, and the men's magazines are writing 10 things that men love about sex. Men already know.
Number 9 will shock you.
Number 9 will shock you, yes. And then also for the women, it's the same. 10 things that women are looking for in terms of sex, and number 10 will shock you. So you go there and you discover there is not even number 10. But they're just talking one to one another.
Yeah.
It is important for you to cross over to the other side. Understand how women are created sexually, understand how men are created sexually, so that you can be able to bridge that particular sexual divide. Then also, when you marry somebody because they are good in bed, sooner than later, you can't sustain marriage on matters to do with bedroom gymnastics. It is important for you to marry somebody who the two of you can talk about, because if there is other problems but there is no communication problem, then there is no problem in the marriage. But when there is communication problems, then now there is communication. There are problems in marriage. And what I'm trying to say is that the communication issue is the most important where marriage is concerned. Yeah. So it is important for you to get to a place, even when you're married, don't be too abrasive and too harsh on your spouse, to a place where your spouse can't ask you questions, because it gets to a place where conversation goes down. And if the two of you have nothing to talk about, sooner than later, the bedroom that was on fire will be full of ashes. Yeah.
Burnt down.
Yes. So it is important for you to make it very easy for your spouse to talk to you. Yeah. Make it very easy and have those particular conversations. And even if the two of you don't have sex up until morning, but the two of you talked a lot during the night, you will wake up feeling more intimate with your spouse, much more than somebody who was just doing gymnastic. So it is it is important for you to take away the resentment. It is important for you also to know what the other person wants, and even go ahead and ask the person individually. What is it that you like? Are you satisfied? Things like that.
There's one question here that came in. Let me just retrieve it in a bit. Quite an interesting one. My wife lately sleeps and snores anytime. It's even worse. Hey, just deal with the question to the bit here, snoring. The other bits
we can't.
No.
Okay, or what I can do then is probably I'll get
can
to
take the
the
question
end.
and then respond to it.
But what happens is that there's been a lot of problems that have accumulated to that, because I've had that a couple of times with different husbands. Actually, others are told, okay, maliza wenifunika, and the woman just sleeps. Kabisa. It's a sign that the two of you are having problems that are not being resolved. So now the woman is no longer doing what she does in terms of her being, your wife. She's just doing it for the sake of doing it, because you want it, I'm going to give it to you. So it is important for you not to look at the sleeping and the snoring. It is important for you to ask, where did we start sinking? What happened here?
Okay. Somebody's asking here, what is affection for?
What is affection for? You remember the Bible says, and the two of them shall become one flesh, and then it talks about them being naked and not ashamed. The way sex has been created, the hormones that are released during a sexual activity are supposed to create the bond between a man and a woman. The reason as to why affection, sexual affection now we're talking about that specifically, the reason as why it was given is so that it can be able to build up the union between a man and a woman. So the more people have sex, the closer they become. Then also where you find people who are very harsh in marriages is because they are getting nothing
out of it.
And like now in that particular case, you will discover that the two of them have become very, very bitter. So even the way they talk to one another, you can be able to tell that their bedroom is very cold. Because there is an aspect about sex that makes people's hearts very easy to talk to, very easy to confront here.
I'm in a relationship with a man who is very sincere, but I'm insecure with him. What should I do to get rid of insecurity?
That's a personal issue. It's not a relationship issue. She got into a relationship before dealing with issues. Those are baggages. And what she needs to do is, already now she's in a relationship,
yes,
she needs to get help. She needs to find somebody that she can talk to, either a pastor or a friend, or older wiser friend, so that she's able to deal with those particular things. Because those things are there. There are moments where you feel insecure because of one issue or another, but it is important for you to have somebody who is not emotionally attached. Because the other issue is, when somebody is insecure, there is a way that you talk that can make the other person feel as though they have been attacked. Yeah. So it is important for you to find somebody who is not attracted to you emotionally, and sit down and tell them, by the way, my husband is very, very honest, he's a good man, but I'm having insecurities in terms of this issue and this issue. And then you can be able to find out where did it come from, because most of it is history. How we were brought up has a direct correlation to how we bring up people, bring up our family.
Could it be possible that even with this honesty, the man could have, likely given a reason for this lady to be insecure?
Yeah, if the man has given the reasons, now you talk and deal with other issues that are beyond the relationship. Then you come into the relationship and tell them, you know what, I like the fact that you are honest, and I'm into this thing. The two of us are going to make it work, but I find this and this and this issue that it triggers some form of insecurity where I'm concerned. So it doesn't come out as an attack, but it is important for you to discuss about those kind of things. And it happens, even to the best of us. There are moments where you'd feel, I'm feeling insecure. So it's important for you to discuss if there's something like that.
All right.
But before that, find out where there's a bigger issue and have it resolved by a professional.
I am dating a lady. She is beautiful, but during our talking, she disclosed she has dated more than 10 men. Deal with it from that end. That's already a man who is insecure by the fact that this lady has dated 10 men before. It's a problem. Of
course, she's beautiful. Yeah. Even where she lives, there are over 20 other people who think that she is very, very beautiful.
What are you saying?
The issue is, by the time you are approaching her, she didn't just land before you. She came from somewhere. I don't know how many exes my wife has, because it's not important. After all is said and done, I'm the one who is wearing the ring. If the woman wants me, why am I going to fight ghosts that are not in the marriage? It is important for the man to decide. If he considers 10 are too many, then it's important for him just to bounce and decide, you know what, I can't deal with this particular thing. But most often than not, no matter the history that people even have children from other relationships, and they get married. What is important? If the woman loves you and she wants to settle down with you, well, you just think you are the winner, and don't create a lot of issues around it, unless, of course, now she has contact with her exes. If the exes are still in the picture, run for your life. But if they are not, and she wants you, you build a relationship with her.
Are there pasts? Because you're talking about, dealing with the past, and you're talking about history. Yeah. So openly, are there pasts you should hear and run for your life?
Yes.
For example?
Any past that has an ex that is constantly there, run. Yeah. Just run. Yeah. Or if the past is blank, no matter how much you ask, you can't be told anything beyond the first time that you met. If there are too many secrets, if you feel unsettled, don't settle down. Yeah. So if you notice that there are things about the past, and ask questions, if you notice that there are things about the past that are not being disclosed, anything that is a secret right now will become a scandal later. So it is important for you, once you notice that there are too many secrets and you can't deal with them, just know it's important for me to walk away. Because whatever you don't walk away from, and it is a secret, it will turn out to be a lot of drama. Yes.
But obviously, there, in terms of the spiritual background of a person, should it be a concern for a person?
For there to be intimacy, you have to have spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy, and physical intimacy. Spiritual intimacy is also very, very important. As I said, after honeymoon, the only thing that you have is faith and vision. All other things that you thought the two of you had before that, after honeymoon, 2 weeks, you have expended your energy. Now you are coming back, now you are sober. You are no longer high. You are on a you have a hangover. The one thing that will make you wake up quickly is for you to check matters to do with faith. An old priest friend, he passed on, he was our family friend, he was called Father Macharia, told me something that shocked me a lot. He said one of the major challenges that he discovered about the younger marriages is that people who are from another denomination or another religion got married and said, our love can overcome all these things. Then all of a sudden they get married, then they discover there is so much incompatibility where matters to do with the denomination and their way of worship is concerned, that it started pulling the family apart, because everybody believes in the church that they go to. So where do you take your children? Because before long long you start fighting, where do your children go to? Are they going to Pentecostal Church of the Apostolic Revelation and Nini, or are they going to
Heaven
Catholic
Express?
Heaven Express? Or where are they going to? So it is important for you to know that after honeymoon, matters to do with spirituality will come into play, and they will come into play in a very big way.
So ideally,
don't ignore.
Ideally, what ought to happen? For example, let's say this was not a matter that appeared during our time of dating, because like you said, there are people who don't see it as an issue until they're settled. That's when they start seeing it as an issue. That this one believes, you know, in this form of creed. I believe in this other form of creed. But ideally, what is supposed to happen in such a situation?
The two of
Who
you
should concede?
who should concede? Most of the time, by then, unfortunately, it's the wife.
It's the lady who concedes.
Yeah, most of the time.
Is that the ideal situation?
The best thing is, you know, and I'm going to say this authoritatively, your husband has more authority than your pastor. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Spiritually, your husband has more authority than your pastor. So whatever your husband tells you, you better do it too.
How about this, you know, with eggs? For the pastor, the husband has not taken eggs in
and
that
that's the reason
house
as
for
to why.
years.
Yeah, and that's the reason as to why that now you find that those particular men have an issue with the church. It's not so much about the issue with the church. It is because
The resentment is out of how they are treated in the house.
yes, and then they said that, then also they can see it is selective submission. The woman is submitted to the pastor or to the boss,
All right.
but not submitted to the husband.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Very quickly, this question. So what about delaying? I don't know why this question wants to disappear from my iPad. Very quickly. And these questions then finally come. So what about delaying relations yet suffering from the feelings?
Delaying relations, yet suffering from the feelings. So they are delaying being in a relationship.
Sexual relations.
And
And they're suffering. Actually, they put the question mark.
no, just okay. If the two of you, and that's what the Bible says, get married. You know, let's stop having too many issues. Like now in my church, I have a couple of young people who are going to get married. Some of them I'm going to wed them on Sunday during the service. Oh yeah. And they don't need to do anything extraordinary. You know, they just come. That day I will preach about demonology. Once I'm done, I say, can you stand up, stand up? Do you have any, whichever it is that I'll be preaching, I will not change. So that's what I'm trying to say. But during the service right there, we will hold a wedding. This issue of, you don't have to suffer. Just go ahead and get married. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I think my iPad has logged out ahead of me. But there are questions.
There are questions,
which
yes.
obviously will hand to you so that you can deal with them from a personal level, because I'm sure that's why we bring you in the program, to deal with these issues. Because as you realize, usually in matters of love and marriage, I think is where the devil is almost putting up tents and establishing himself. But
He's building cities
yes.
nowadays.
So your final word as we wind up, I think on which camera? That one there. That one there, yes.
This one.
The one in the middle there.
The
Yes.
one in the middle. Okay.
The one in the middle here. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
You will get what it is that you bargain for in terms of a relationship. And this one here.
Yes.
And it is important for you not to play around with matters to do with love. Whatever it is that you want, don't settle down, you know, go for it, go and build a relationship. And then also, if you are married and there's been a lot of battles in that particular marriage, it's important for you to resolve it. Let me tell you, family is everything. That is not just a movie line, it's a fact. Once you're in a family, make sure that whatever it is that it takes for you to save that particular family, go ahead and do it. And if the problem is too much, you can get in touch with us. We offer counseling sessions. We'll be able to help you.
All right.
So that's good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you have a number?
Oh yeah, 0799 18 19 60 and 0799 18 19 61.
And those are official lines?
Those are official lines.
So
you
you
call
go-
me on Tuesday, by the way, I'm a pastor, I'm off tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you call me on Tuesday. The other times where they would call the entire night, Monday, the entire day.
Yeah.
So just call me on Tuesday from 10. There we will be able to talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, God bless you.
Thank you very much, Pastor, for joining us tonight.
Thank
and
you.
always appreciated. This conversation is quite, we say, tantalizing.
Yes.
It's quite a tantalizing conversation. And thank you again for joining us. The conversation, as always, is family matters. We don't stop here. The conversation goes on online. And of course, you can continue tweeting at Kioria at KBC Channel 1. The hashtag is family matters, as well as on our SMS line 22162. We'll try and forward some of this, or all of the messages to the pastor so that he can deal with them individually. This is where I say good night. See you tomorrow. God bless.